Well, here we are, the very last episode of this shitty year, 2020.
Almost there.
And we're doing a prelude because it's like a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
Often when we're planning our episodes, I don't know, let's do this. I don't know, should we do this? So we're like, what do we do? I'm like, I don't know. I said, it'll come to me. And in one of my many sleepless nights, I'm like, we'll do a prelude. Yeah. That's what we'll do. So we're going to kick off the new year with quite some storytelling. So we figured we should give you a little background.
Mm-hmm.
On
we're going to go through some problems
that these people
will
encounter.
We're going to tell you these health problems now. And we're not going to talk. We're just going to tell you that they had them in the next episode.
So you will be well informed when they have the...
you can picture it.
Yes, exactly. So part of our prelude is we're discussing cold weather issues.
Yes.
Because we're going to have some cold weather problems in January.
Yes.
And we do this sitting in Laura's basement.
Freezing.
Very cold down here. Covered in snow.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura's going to kick it off with...
Snow blindness.
Snow blindness!
So, snow blindness, I'm pretty sure I've had this before. It is a temporary loss of vision due to overexposure to the sun's UV rays. In medical terms, it's called photokeratitis.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm. So, fancy. Photo means light, and keratitis is inflammation of the cornea. So, the light makes your cornea inflamed. It's really like a sunburn of your cornea.
Oh.
Is pretty much what it is.
Ouch.
Yeah. Snow reflects 80% of the sun's UV rays that are hitting it.
Which is why you should wear sunscreen when you're skiing.
Yeah. And skiing and climbing that take place at high altitudes
intensifies it.
Are where the UV rays are stronger, which doubles your risk of snow blindness.
Excellent.
Yep. And especially when compared to doing outdoor summer activities at lower altitudes. So you're way more likely to get the snow blindness at higher altitudes in the winter in the snow. But you don't need snow to develop snow blindness.
Well, what do you need, Laura? Tell me.
Water and white sand also reflect UV rays.
White sand.
They reflect them very well. When you're in the ocean, and you don't have your sunglasses on because you're afraid they're going to get knocked off. And
you come out and you're like, your eyes.
I can't see you where my blanket is. Anderson Cooper, actually, became snowblind after spending an afternoon on a boat in Portugal.
Excuse me, Coop.
With no sunglasses on. He was blind for 36 hours. You can also...
Wow.
Yeah. You can also develop snow blindness with no sun. There are man-made UV radiation sources, such as tanning beds and sun lamps. They can burn your corneas.
Right, so we still have a lot of light. It's just not as actual natural light.
Right.
Okay.
Any UV rays that are coming at you, wherever they're coming from.
Blind you.
Yeah. So symptoms of snow blindness are...
Darkness.
And they frequently occur like a few hours after exposure, like a sunburn. So you're in the sun, you're sunburned. You don't feel it until you come home, you shower off, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm burned. Yeah. But on the beach, you don't feel the burn. So it's the same with the snow blindness. You feel you're okay, and then a few hours later, this starts. So you get eye pain, burning eyes, red eyes, a gritty feeling like there's sand in your eyes.
Oh, that's the worst. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate anything to do with eyes.
You know, like you literally feel like there's something in there.
It's just gross, yeah.
Sensitivity to light, watery eyes, blurry vision, swollen eyes and eyelids, headaches, glare and halos around lights. It doesn't cause actual blindness. Like, you're not blind.
Oh, I thought you couldn't see at all.
And it usually resolves within 24 to 48 hours. I think you're so swollen and they're burned and it's so hard. It's like you can't see, quote unquote, but you're not actually blind.
Okay.
But you can't, you can barely open your eyes. The treatment is, if you wear contacts, take them out immediately and don't wear them again until your eyes are completely healed. Take over-the-counter pain relievers, use artificial tears to keep your eyes moist, stay indoors, wear sunglasses, place a cool damp cloth over your eyes, especially if they're swollen. Do not rub your eyes. It's not going to help.
It will make it worse.
Yeah. If it gets worse or lasts longer than a day or two, see an eye doctor right away. And to prevent this, literally just wear goggles or glasses that block 100% of UV rays.
Well, you see those
when you're outside.
Little weird slit goggles they'll use for snow blindness. You ever see those?
The slit?
They almost they're big. They cover the whole eye.
Yeah.
And they almost look like tanning beds. And there's little slits that you can see through to really keep the sun from getting to your eyes.
No. But you can get any of them. Most of them say we'll block 100% of UV rays. That's all you have to do. Even on a cloudy day though, if you're skiing, the sun's not out, there's still UV rays when the sun isn't out, and that's still reflecting up into your eyes. So still wear them even if it's cloudy. And for maximum protection, get goggles or glasses that wrap around because it can still come in the sides of your glasses.
I'm blind.
Yeah. And I got all that information from All About Vision, an article by Gary Heating.
Oh, God bless. Mm-hmm. Well, that's only one clue as to our stories of next time. Mm-hmm. Next clue, excuse me, information from Mayo Clinic would be hypothermia. Goes hand in hand with snow blindness. Hypothermia, it's when your body temp drops faster than your body can produce heat. Mm-hmm. You know what body temp is, Laura?
98.6.
Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Hypothermia occurs when it drops below 95.
It's cold.
Yep. The most common cause of hypothermia is exposure to cold weather conditions or cold water. Mm-hmm. Specific conditions leading to hypothermia are wearing clothes not warm enough for weather conditions. That's a big surprise. Yeah. Staying out in the cold too long. Okay, so like if you're going to a nightclub, you're 21, you don't want to ruin your outfit, you're in this little tiny dress, you're waiting in the club lines, you can get hypothermic.
Oh,
put on a coat.
Did it all
Put on your galoshes and a coat, as my mother would say.
Your galoshes.
Being unable to get out of wet clothes or into a dry location. Mm-hmm. Falling into water, i.e. a boating accident. Mm-hmm. Living in a house that is too cold. Poor heating or too much air conditioning. Oh. Because some of this can happen in the summertime.
That's a lot of air conditioning.
That's some serious air conditioning. Yeah. Or it could be for a child in the AC that cannot regulate their temp yet. Mm-hmm. Okay. How does your body lose heat? Well, Laura, I'm glad you asked. Mm-hmm. There's radiant heat, which is heat loss from unprotected parts of your body, i.e. you're not wearing a hat, as my 90-year-old aunt refuses to do because she would ruin her hair, the 3 strands she has left.
Yeah. Wow.
So don't wear a hat, Laura, and cover the head, which loses a ton of heat.
Yeah.
No gloves or no coat. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm waiting in line at the bar. I'm not wearing this stuff.
Well, plus, where are you putting your coat? I'm not
I
doing
mean, that's
stuff.
true. I mean, you'd walk around with it all night, or if it was in a big pile in the corner, somebody spilled drinks on it, stole your wallet.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, God, I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, direct contact. The body comes in contact with something very cold, like water, cold wet clothes, or the cold ground. You're sleeping outside, you're lost in the woods, you're sleeping on the ground. Okay. Body heat is lost much faster in water than from air. Mm-hmm. Wind. It carries heat away from the body, so pay attention to wind chill when it's out there because it is going to make you much colder. Mm-hmm. So, when it's cold, your hypothalamus kicks in and says, you're cold, heat up. So you start to shiver. That's sign 1. Usually, shivering will raise your metabolism and your muscles, and they start generating heat. Mm-hmm. If you get cold too quick, your body can't keep up, and your core temp starts to drop. Mm-hmm. As this happens, the blood is going to shunt away from your extremities, i.e. my Raynaud fingers, and it's going to shunt to your core to reduce heat loss from the skin. And it's going to protect the key organs. So that's why everything shunts away from the skin, and your hands get white, and your face gets white, because it's trying to
keep your heart alive.
Wake your head up, too, and say, hey, dumbass, get out of the cold. So your risks for hypothermia are exhaustion. Well, that's me all the time.
I might have it right now.
Older age. Okay, that's 2. Elders may not be able to communicate that they are cold or move to a warmer location because they have Alzheimer's or something bizarre. Very young, like little babies, will lose heat faster than adults. Mm-hmm. They also, kids outside, and we've all done this, they're blue, they're shivering, they're pale, and they will not come in because they're having too much fun. So they're too stupid to come in from the cold. And they're never going to dress properly. This is my one. I don't want any of this. How would I need gloves?
Too heavy.
Yeah, their fingers look like they're going to fall off, but they don't want to wear it. Okay. Mm-hmm. You could also, another risk factor is mental illness. A lot of the homeless outside, they won't go into shelters. Their mental illness is affecting their decisions to get warm. They will, you have dementia patients that leave the house, and they will go with no jackets, no coats, no shoes, and they're walking around in the cold. Sleeping outside because you're homeless. Mm-hmm. Alcohol and drug abuse. Mm-hmm. Alcohol makes you feel like you're warm because it dilates your blood vessels, causing quicker heat loss. Yes. It also impairs your ability to shiver. So do not get shit-faced while you're waiting in the club line. Yes, because you'll shiver, but much later. Mm-hmm. It's almost too late when you're shivering because you're just like, whatevs, hey, whatevs, I feel a little cold. Actually, I'm not cold. I'm going to take my jacket off. Okay. Some medications, like not medications. Yeah. Oh, some medications. And also medical conditions like hypothyroidism.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm stone cold sober today because I felt like these stories warranted sobriety.
Well, yeah. It's
what they went through, I think, should be done
we should do
with
that.
not it's sober. That's all. All right. So anorexia, diabetes, trauma, or spinal cord injuries affect your ability to feel cold. Symptoms of hypothermia. First one was shivering. Slurred speech or mumbling. Slow, shallow breathing. Weak pulse. Clumsiness or lack of coordination. Drowsiness or very low energy. That's me all the time. Loss of consciousness. Infants will have bright red cold skin, and they should not sleep in a cold room because they can't get warm. Late stage is paradoxal undressing.
Yes.
This happens at a very late stage when the person is very confused and combative. They will begin to remove their clothes. 20 to 50% of deaths related to hypothermia are because of paradoxal undressing. So it comes in stages. When your body temperature gets from between 95 to 90, you have high blood pressure, you're shivering, rapid breathing and heart rate, your blood vessels have all constricted, apathy, which means you don't give a shit about anything, and fatigue. You have impaired judgment and lack of coordination. Moderate, 90 to 82. You're pretty fucking cold if you're 82.
Jesus.
You will now have an irregular heartbeat. I can't imagine why. Your heart rate's very slow because you're going into hibernation. And breathing. Lower level of consciousness. How you're conscious if your body core is 82. I don't know. Dilated pupils, low blood pressure, and a decreased in reflexes. Severe, less than 82. I would think you are completely unconscious.
Oh, yeah.
Labored breathing, non-reactive pupils, heart failure, pulmonary failure, and again, the advertisement. Right. So you're fucked. All right. Treatment. Move a person to a warm, dry place or shelter them from the elements. Remove wet clothing. Cover the entire body, leaving only the face exposed with warm blankets. Put them on a blanket to insulate them from the ground. Monitor breathing and start CPR if necessary, because it has always been told you are not dead till you are warm and dead. So if they pull somebody out of ice cold water, if they pull somebody out of an ice cold snowbank or whatevs, they're going to warm you up before they're going to declare you dead. Provide skin to skin contact. Ooh, this gets dirty, if possible, and wrap you both up in blankets to transfer heat. So when it's like really cold, get naked. Yeah, and wrap you both.
Wrap it all together.
When I had Vienna, this should have been my clue one, and I'm laying there, I'm watching the Patriots lose the Super Bowl, and the nurse comes in. She's like, "Your daughter's very cold. Can we do the kangaroo care?" I'm like, "What the fuck is kangaroo care?" She's like, can we put her skin to skin? I'm like, yep. So she takes a little Johnny off and a little tiny diaper. She looks like a little alien. And I pull my Johnny down. She puts her on my chest. I put the blanket over both of us. I fall asleep. She's asleep. The woman comes in maybe an hour later. She's like, oh, that's exactly where she wanted to be. She's happy as anything now. She hasn't left since. That was 14 years ago. All right. So provide warm drinks if the person is unconscious, but no alcohol or caffeine. Is conscious, not unconscious. Beep, back up. You don't want to give it to anyone.
Do not give an
You'll
unconscious
kill them from
person
choking. Sorry, pardon. No, give them, if they're conscious and they can drink, give them warm drinks, but nothing with alcohol or caffeine. So no hot toddies. If the person is cold and not breathing, you're going to institute CPR. Prevention. If you live alone, have someone check on you regularly. If stranded in a motor vehicle, move everything you need from the trunk to the car so you don't have to get out of the car. Run the car for 10 minutes every hour as long as your tailpipe is clear, because you don't want to asphyxiate yourself. No. Create a winter survival kit for your car, which would have blankets, non-perishable foods, first aid kit, and water. No booze. All right. Outdoor activities. Wear multiple layers of clothing. The innermost layer should have wool, silk, or polypropylene, as they retain heat the best. Layer clothing traps in air, which will heat up and keep you warm. Do not overexert or sweat, which causes heat loss because now you're getting wet. Wear a hat or a thick scarf on your head. To needs. Avoid alcohol. And eat plenty of calories. See, I was made for cold weather living. Because God knows, in the past week, I am
oh my God, I have been awful this week.
Cold weather travel.
Awful this week.
Children and infants should have one more layer than an adult. Bring kids indoors if they are shivering, and do not let babies sleep in a cold room. And that, my friends, is hypothermia, which is clue number 2.
Yes.
To stories of next week.
So I just wanted to, my aunt's brother-in-law passed away last week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He was a firefighter up in Portland, and he also was a lobster fisherman, and he was out on his boat.
Oh, no.
They found, he
fell
somehow
over?
went over. They found him, got him out, but he was obviously...
Was he alone?
I don't know
the details.
all of it. I just know he went over. I know all the boats in the
I'm
harbor were
sorry.
looking, trying to get him, and they got him and they brought him to the hospital up there, and they actually put him on ECMO
Oh, wow.
to warm him, which is a bypass. You got to warm them and you try to get them perfusing. And he did pass away that night, but he was in the water. It was freezing. I said, when I heard, I said, the only saving grace is the freezing does preserve.
Yes.
So if you
If
can
they get
come
him back,
back,
yes.
your brain is preserved. But he didn't make it, but it's just awful.
When I first started working,
Yeah.
one of the nursing assistants had a brother who worked on the fishing boats up in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And the ship was going down, and they had rescued everybody. He was the last to come out, and they dropped him.
Oh,
And they couldn't go back for him.
Oh, my
Because
God.
I don't know if it had to do with the helicopter or the other
Right.
people, but they could not go back for him.
oh.
It was said that supposedly he was already kind of gone. But
Yeah.
that story, that was 27 years ago, has haunted me
Oh, yeah, that's
forever. And how that family, what if. But
Yeah.
those talk about, there's a reason that's on the world's most dangerous jobs, because that is a dangerous goddamn job.
Mhm. So I just wanted to
Well, shout out
do
my
that to
condolences.
Timmy Flynn.
My condolences to Timmy Flynn's family.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about frostbite.
A couple of Halloweens ago, Cameron went as a frostbite victim for Halloween. I did some great I did some kick-ass makeup.
Just some blue splotches.
No, it was all black with a little red,
nice.
red vessel.
Yeah.
Oh, he looked freaking great.
That's
he was
hysterical.
I'm a cool mom.
Cool.
He was a Everest victim. That was my reading into thin air time.
Yeah, I was like,
you're
must have
going
been-
as a frostbite victim.
He's like, show them out.
Yeah, he's like, this is great.
So frostbite is an injury to your skin when it is exposed to cold that causes the top layer and tissue under your skin to freeze.
Ouch.
Yeah. So it is usually seen on fingers, toes, ears, and noses, but can occur wherever, whatever is exposed. So your skin is your largest organ. We all know this, yes?
Some guys would beg to differ, I'm sure.
Well, of course they would. There are blood vessels all throughout it to help keep it healthy and alive. You need blood to keep your tissues alive. When you're exposed to the cold, your blood vessels constrict to divert the flow of blood from your extremities to your core to keep you warm.
The important parts.
Like we said, it keep your vital organs warm. So fingers, toes, ears, nose, all the blood is shunted away from it. So you get tissue damage from that because you're not getting blood to those extremities. You're at increased risk of frostbite if you are exposed to cold temps for prolonged periods of time, if cold temps are accompanied by winds,
which they usually are.
and if you are at higher altitude. There are 3 stages of frostbite. One is frost nip. Just a little nip.
Like frost nipping at your nose.
We're not getting a full bite, just a little nip.
Just a little nip.
It's very mild. There's usually no damage. Skin turns red. It's cold to the touch. If you stay in the cold, you might feel numb or pins and needles. It can be treated by getting out of the cold.
Shocker.
Shocker.
That's so smart.
Rewarming by soaking the area with warm water for 15 to 30 minutes. Do not use hot water because you'll get scalded. Yeah. And don't use heating pads because you can get a burn. As the skin warms, you can start to feel pain and tingling because the sensation is coming back to your skin. Take over-the-counter like ibuprofen or Tylenol, whatever, for pain if you're uncomfortable. Second stage is superficial frostbite.
Uh-oh.
Yep. The skin turns from red to pale or blue.
Sounds like that's what Jack had.
Yeah.
When you said.
When he had a little cheek. It was like real gray.
It's superficial frostbite.
Just superficial. It's fine.
Half-assed frostbite.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little more than nip, a little less than bad. So, ice crystals can form in your skin.
Yeesh.
It can make the area hard, and it can feel like it's frozen. Like when you touch it, it can feel like it's frozen. Skin might feel warm, and it might swell. So the frost nip, you're going to feel cold. Once you get to the first stage of frostbite, it's going to start feeling warm and swelling a little bit.
That's weird,
yeah.
Huh?
Your tissue is still alive, but you have to seek medical treatment as soon as possible to prevent further damage. Doctors will rewarm immediately, and they'll treat you for pain after the rewarming, because again, you're going to start getting all the feeling back in that area, and it's going to be sore because you have ice crystals in your skin. They'll most likely
wrap... They don't usually belong there.
They'll most likely wrap the affected area after it's rewarmed. They might give you IV fluids, depending on how big of an area is frostbite. After rewarming, you might get blisters.
Ouch.
The doctors might drain said blisters, and sometimes they become infected, and that requires a treatment of antibiotics. Your skin might look blue or purple afterwards. You may swell, and you may also have burning sensation where you were frostbitten. You can fully recover, and most do, but some do have permanent problems like pain or numbness where the area was affected.
No.
The third stage is deep frostbite. That affects the skin and the underlying tissues. Skin looks blue or splotchy. It may feel numb. The muscles near the area won't work correctly. And you might develop blood-filled blisters. Seek immediate medical attention. If you have blood-filled blisters, please
from any reason, go get medical attention. Yeah. That's not normal.
No, they will rewarm the area. They will wrap the area. They will give you pain meds. They will give you IV fluids. You might receive blood thinners because some severe cases can cause blood clots, and it helps improve the blood flow to the area even if you don't have blood clots.
Blood clots, or is it just frozen solid?
I know. I was going to say blood clots. After rewarming, the skin will be black and hard. And because of...
there's so many things I want to say to that, but I won't.
I know.
Go ahead.
That's because of the tissue. Your tissue's dead if you're this bad. You may also develop blisters. It may take several weeks to determine the full extent of your injury. Sometimes surgery is needed to remove the dead tissue, a.k.a. we're going to cut off your fingers and toes.
And maybe the tip of your nose.
Your ears.
Fingers, toes, tips of nose,
if the
tips of nose.
tissue's dead, you have to remove it.
Yeah, it's never going to be fixed.
No. And it can lead to lasting side effects like pain, numbness, and increased sensitivity to the cold. So,
I can tell you, if I got frostbite and you clipped off my fingers and toes, I would never go in the cold again. I would be living on the fucking equator.
I'd have an increased sensitivity just in my head alone, never mind the actual
I have it now.
Yeah. So check the weather forecast. Do not spend long periods of time in cold weather, and avoid metal and water if out.
Don't stick your tongue in your poles.
No. Dress appropriately for the weather. Hats, mittens, scarves, sunglasses, ski masks, waterproof and windproof outer layers. Be prepared for the weather.
Yes. Like if you're going to go skiing or sledding or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't take it lightly. It happens
it ain't
easily.
No joke.
It happens a lot. Yep. And I got that from healthline.com.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. What do you got?
Well, we're going to finish off with our fourth clue.
Oh, okay.
Cannibalism.
Oh, yeah.
Cannibalism. So you already know, if it's cold and cannibalism, there's a few stories out there that we're going to be possibly covering. Mm-hmm. We'll tell you at the end. Okay, so this is from Tim Newman, his Particles article.
Particles article.
Came out on January 19th, 2018.
Okay.
Laura, cannibalism occurs in every corner of the animal kingdom. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Sometimes it's for survival. Sometimes it's out of stress. So I might eat my children when I get stressed out. Or it's for sex. Eating human meat itself is not bad for you. It's like eating any other meat.
Really?
Yeah, but we're a little fattier from what I understand. So we're not as healthy of a meat. We're not lean. Okay. If it's not prepared properly, like any other meat.
If it's not prepared. You're talking about eating a human, yeah?
Well, I mean, if you don't have it marinated and cooked to an internal temperature of 165.
Yeah, what temperature do we cook human meat at? Like, what?
You're going to risk the getting E. coli.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah.
HIV.
Oh.
Or even syphilis.
You can get the syphilis from eating the
You get
meat.
the syphilis from red human meat.
Oh.
And it can also be very constipating human meat. The plane crash in the Andes, they all suffered constipation after eating all that fatty meat. But, they didn't have a nice au jus sauce with it.
Yeah, it was nicely prepared.
They didn't have asparagus and potatoes to get it down with. It wasn't nicely prepared. It was just charred over gas fuel. Okay. So it's not the meat so much that can cause a problem. It's when you consume... Okay, listen, I'm just going to preface. It gets gross, all right? So if you have a weak stomach, maybe this isn't the episode for you.
I'm also going to preface this by we do not condone or endorse eating human meat.
But we're going to go through a tribe that did this and what happened to them from eating it. So it gets kind of gross, but it's informative.
Okay.
And it's interesting.
Okay.
So, it's when you consume the human brain that things will go bad.
Why? Why would you do that?
Well, let me tell you why.
All right.
Okay? The Four tribe in Papua New Guinea.
Uh-huh.
They practice transumption, which is they eat their dead relatives because they think it's better than burying them in the ground. We're just going to eat every fucking part of you. And we say...
They eat every dead person.
Mm-hmm. And they save the brains and the heart and the organs for the women and children.
Oh, good.
Because the men feel eating flesh before battle weakens them. So the women who were also fixing the bodies would eat all this stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They believe it's better to consume their loved ones than let them rot in the ground.
Nope.
This
Got away.
particular tribe of dead-eating relatives, they would suffer from a disease called kuru, which is unanimously fatal, transmissible spongiform encephalopathy.
Ugh.
What is all that? Well, let me explain to you what a unanimously fatal transmissible spongiform encephalopathy is. Okay. It is a prion-based disease, which is very similar to mad cow disease.
I was going to say prion equals bad.
Yep. Prion is a misfolded protein that turns the brain into Swiss cheese. Yeah. Page flip. Okay. It is associated with the accumulation of an abnormal glycoprotein known as prion protein. That is a natural protein, and it is known to contribute to Alzheimer's disease. So now when you eat more prion, they make little parties in the brain, and they eat the brain. Okay. Kuru is most often seen in women and children as they were the ones that traditionally ate the brain. The men believed that during times of conflict, consuming human flesh weakened them. The women and children also cleaned the bodies, leaving them at rest from infection from the open wounds because it is a transmissible disease no matter what. Okay. Let's hear about kuru. What does this disease do? Well, it starts with an unsteadiness and tremors. You get the shakes. That progresses to emotional instability, incontinence, ulcers, and eventually death. We're going to go through the stages shortly, but we're going to read a little quote first from W.T. Brown. Okay. The first sign of impending death is a general debility, which is followed by general weakness and inability to stand. The victim retires to her house. She is able to take a little nourishment, but suffers from violent shivering. The next stage is that the victim lies down in the house and cannot take nourishment, and death eventually ensues. So he is somebody who was witnessing this tribe firsthand. Okay. Its incubation period is 5 to 20 years and can be as long. Yes. Same, remember CJD, Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, which is very similar. Yeah. These people are fine for 30, like they go to.
Yeah, it was a long
they
time.
They eat cow brain 30 years ago, it hits them now. But once it appears, it comes in 3 stages, which is the first stage is the ambulate stage, which is decreased muscle control. It's just decreased muscle control. And I think that's probably because the advertisement went over it. Okay. Sedentary stage. Incapable of walking, loss of muscle control, severe tremors, depression with outbursts of uncontrolled laughter. The Kuru called it like laughter, not Kuru, the Four disease tribe called it like laughter or something, because you'll be just in bed and then you're just laughing for no reason.
Oh,
you're completely unstable.
Creepy.
Then you get into the terminal stage, which is they can't sit without support. There's no muscle control at all. They're unable to speak. They're incontinent. They have difficulty swallowing. They're unresponsive to surroundings. They have ulcers with pus and necrosis. Ugh. And generally, the patient dies within 3 months to 2 years of the symptom onset. During the 1950s, the Australian colonial law enforcement and Christian missionaries reduced this funeral practice of the four. They were going in and they were like, you can't eat grandpa. It's gross. All right. And the last victim of kuru was in 2005. So, cannibalism, when necessary, just don't eat the brain.
Yeah, stay away from the brain.
Cook it well so that you don't get syphilis. So, should we tell them what we're going to talk about?
I mean, I think they might be able to guess what you're going to talk about.
Well, next week, we're going to bring in the new year, 2020 style. And we're going to talk the children's blizzard of 18-something.
It was very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. And we're going to talk about the Donner Party. The ill-fated Donner Party, which I will never do justice to because it's quite the story. Yeah. way longer than I remembered. And very sad.
Yeah. The children's blizzard's sad, but it's not like as detailed.
Well, it wasn't as prolonged, I'm sure.
Yes.
Of months.
No, it was a day.
Like the Donner Party. Months and months. Though they didn't have to eat each other.
No, they didn't.
Okay. Well, that's good. Because the Donner Party did.
Yeah.
All right. So that is going to end this COVID crazy year.
Yes.
And hopefully everybody is safe and sound. And you can settle in for a long winter's nap listening to Scissors and Scrubs. Yes.
Put some blankets on.
Put on a hat. Put on a hat.
Yeah.
Dress
Make
for the
sure
weather.
the exhaust for your heat is clear from all the snow.
If you're going to go shovel, don't be doing it with a fifth of whiskey.
Nope.
Because you're going to freeze to death.
Yep.
And have a wonderful New Year's.
Happy New Year.
And the Donner Party and the Children's Blizzard will meet you on the other side.
Yes.
Bye!
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.